We're not all born with that green thumb. Sometimes it takes trial and error to figure out exactly what type of plants work best in your home. I am no exception to this. I've killed more plants than I care to share. I can't have you guys laughing at me because this is Asiyah's plant life, right? But listen, I want to talk to you guys today about some of the plants that I have currently that are my most difficult to care for. And while they are absolutely beautiful and I'm so happy to have them as a part of my collection, they bring me so much joy and so much peace and serenity into my home. They are a pill. So look, we're going to go through. I'm going to give you the bird's eye view of these plants, and I'm just going to talk through how I'm caring for them and how I'm basically just trying to keep them alive. Stay tuned. Y'all don't want to miss this video. All right, loves. This is Fiona. This is my Fiddle Leaf Fig. You have seen her in a few of my other videos. And this is that girl. She is probably my most difficult plant to care for. And let me outline how many ways I have attempted to get this beauty to grow. I've had her now for about 2 years, and you're probably wondering, 2 years, why doesn't she have more leaves? Well, the truth of the matter is, about a year ago, I figured out what window works best for her. Now, everything that I knew about a Fiddle Leaf Fig went out the window when I brought this plant into my home. She does not like bright, indirect light. She does not like her soil to dry out in between waterings, and she absolutely does not like to be moved. So she drops leaves. If I move her from one place in my home to another, she drops leaves. So putting her here, right, this is a north facing window. This window only gets afternoon light. Otherwise it's lit just like it is right now. Well, I should say late afternoon light. At about 3:30, 4 p.m. in the afternoon, there's such beautiful bright light that comes in through this window and just dances all over her leaves and the other plants that I have in this area. But other than that, it's lit just like it is right now. You can see that it's a little dim actually, but this is what she likes. She likes her leaves to be dusted off and wiped down with neem oil. I spritz her leaves with room temperature or baby bath water warm is what I like to call it, water, every other day to every third day. And then her soil, she likes her soil to be consistently moist. So let's get in here so you guys can actually see that this soil is wet. It's wet, it's wet, it's wet. I also have some orchid bark mixed into this soil and some bone meal. This is another one of my DIY potting soil mixtures that I have her in because I found when I initially repotted her after bringing her home from the nursery, she did not like the standard the standard potting soil that you could buy pre-made. I had to find a mixture that worked well for her. Now what you see here, these leaves, or these stems right here with no leaves, these leaves just became very they were dying pretty much, for lack of a better way. They were dying. I can't even describe to you what was happening. They were dying. So I went ahead and used my shears and just cut them off. This is what she is left with. And these leaves right up here in the top, let's get a different angle on it. So these leaves right in here, these are the newest leaves that she's put up this growing season. This one, and this one. These 4 leaves right here are the newer leaves. At the older leaves, you can see are starting to brown a little bit along the edges. And the newer leaves are just nice and full and glossy. Unless the older leaves start to show signs that they're really truly dying off, I will not cut them. But I have cut quite a few of the leaves off of Fiona over the last couple of years. Like I said, she's been in this window now for about a year, and I have not moved her from here. She seems to be enjoying this spot fairly well. She's putting up leaves. I keep her soil damp. I do not let her soil dry out between waterings. When I do that, she drops all of her leaves. She just becomes very, very sickly. So I make sure that I keep this soil wet, not soaked, guys, just damp, moist, so it retains that moisture. And then I dust the leaves. I spritz them with water every other day to every third day, and every once in a while I will wipe the leaves down with neem oil, the tops and the bottom of the leaves. I go through and I inspect all the different parts of the leaves and the stem to make sure that there's nothing on them, no bugs, no spiders, nothing on them that is going to hurt this girl. Now I have to tell you guys, I haven't shared this with you yet, but we're moving. And I'm not showing you all of the house today because we have boxes and things everywhere. We are moving, and I'm so anxious about this move because I do not know how Fiona and some of my other plants are going to take the move. We're moving a number of hours away from where we are right now. And I'm really anxious. I don't know how she's going to do during the move. Once we get into the new home, there won't be well water. These plants have all been cared for with well water since forever. So putting them on regular public water is a very big concern for me. So that's a source of anxiety for me, guys. So if you guys have any pointers or tips on how to transition your plants into a new environment, especially how to get them packed up for the move, I've been doing some online research to see how I can get it packed up for the move and the best way to put them in the moving truck and get them to our new destination. You guys can see some of the boxes right over there. Please put that stuff in the comments. Let me know what are some of the ideas that you have, or what's worked for you when you've moved your plant babies to new homes. So this is my #1 most difficult plant to care for, is Fiona, and I absolutely love her. She's taught me patience. She's taught me gratitude. She's taught me that it's okay to fail and to come back again, right? A lot of times we want to be perfect. We want to have these beautiful homes that are filled with plants that look like they could be in a magazine or on some of the huge Instagram profiles, and that's just not always the case. There is a learning curve to this, and we have to be patient with ourselves as we learn how to care for our plant babies in the best way. So Fiona has taught me a whole host of lessons in raising her up and allowing her to grow. All right, let's move on to my orchid named Lady. All right, so here's Lady. I affectionately named her Lady because she's so graceful. This is one of 2 orchids that I currently have, and this is my second go round with orchids. About 7 years ago, I was gifted an orchid, didn't really know how to take care of it, and it died pretty quickly. And I kind of just gave up on them from that point. And I decided again this year that I wanted to start bringing in a little bit of some more flowering plants into my houseplant collection. And the orchid was the first plant that came to mind because they're so graceful and they're so beautiful. So this is one. I have had Lady now for about a month. She came in a bag actually in this little plastic pot here. These roots have grown out within the last month, and I have to say, guys, I'm really nervous about repotting her because I'm not quite sure if or how to repot orchids. Again, I'm a little traumatized from my last experience with them, and I'm not quite sure what to do. I do know that most orchids are potted in what's called orchid bark, which is what you see. See if I can get in closer here. Which is what you guys see right here, and that's easy to find. I actually use orchid bark in my DIY potting soil mix, but I'm afraid. I don't know what to do, and because these plants can be very finicky, I'm just taking it slow with how to care for her. I spritz the leaves about once a day. I water her when the soil is completely dry. And in this window that she's in, she is receiving bright indirect light. I do have a supplemental grow light on the plants on this little table right here, but those are primarily for this peace lily that I've struggled with. That's a whole other story. And then these 2 crotons. So let me finish up before we get to the crotons. So that's one of the orchids that I have. I have another one here. Let's just move this over a little bit so you guys can see the other orchid. I have this other orchid here, and this one is actually in a cachet pot. A cachet pot is a pot that does not have any holes on the bottom, but it is in a plastic. This cachet pot is holding the plastic pot just like the one that lady is in. But look guys, this one has no leaves, no flowers. She dropped all of her flowers about 2 months into bringing her home. I'm providing the same care for her as I do for Lady, but I did have this one first. I spritz, I water when dry. It's getting bright and direct light, but she did drop her leaves, her flowers, not her leaves. The leaves are still here, which are nice and healthy. They're fleshy. They look great. The roots look healthy. So I'm guessing that this plant will put blooms out again, but I'm not quite sure. I don't really know when it should bloom, if there's anything that I can do to encourage those blooms. So drop something in the comments, guys. Those of you that have orchids and you've been caring for them, let me know what I can expect to happen with this orchid. I have not named this beauty yet. I'm waiting for the blooms to come back. This one puts out beautiful white blooms. So I'm waiting for those blooms to come back before I decide on giving this baby a name. All right, so let's move on to these other ones. The next ones I want to show you are these beautiful crotons right here. I love them. I love how they look. I love how they grow. I love the beautiful lessons that this plant has taught me about patience and understanding and accepting differences, because every plant is different and they have different needs. But this is my third, look at that guys, third go round with crotons. I got these two from Walmart just at the end of the season last year. These two for $1.96 each, and I figured if I kill them, it wouldn't be too much of a loss. They're doing well right now, but I do not fuss with them. I water them, I spritz their leaves, I dust their leaves, and that is it. I don't move them. I have this grow light pretty much on them. It's probably about 2.5 feet away from them, and they're getting a lot of bright light from this south-facing window. When I went to Costa Rica last year in December, there were these wild crotons just growing all over the resort, and they were so beautiful. But one thing that I realized while I was there is that these plants love bright light. They love humidity. That's what helps them to get this beautiful coloration or striation in the leaves, or the modeling of the different colors. As you see, when the leaves first grow, they're pretty much just green, and over time, in the right conditions, they will start to grow and change. That's a lesson that I had to learn, and I learned that a lot of my plants that are difficult to care for, they don't like to be moved. They don't like to be fussed with or fussed over. They just want you to give them the bare necessity of what they need, and then they like to be left alone. All right, this is Freddie. Freddie is my Fittonia. One of my Fittonias, actually the only one that's still alive right now. Let me get Freddie and bring Freddie up here so you can actually see Freddie. So let's take a closer look at Freddie. I did a video on Freddie about 1.5 years ago when I first brought Freddie home, and there was none of this. You see these leaves right here? None of that. This was beautiful. Freddie is a very, very difficult plant to care for. I've managed to keep him alive, but I am cutting away quite a bit of the leaves as they start to brown. One thing about Freddie, which reminds me of peace lilies, is that the leaves will wilt when they need to be watered. So that's a good way for me to know that it's time to water the plant. But beyond that, beyond giving it the correct light, and making sure that the soil is aerated and I'm watering it, spritzing, I don't know what else to do for Freddie. And let me zoom in there so you guys can see those leaves. Now, Fittonias supposedly are easy to care for plants, which is why I got it, but it's turned out to be a very difficult plant for me. And as you can see, it's healthy because it's putting up baby leaves, or I should say relatively healthy, because it's putting up baby leaves. So you guys help me out here. What is it that I'm not doing for Freddie that I should be doing? If you have Fittonias, if you know about them, if your green thumb has taken a two or a few of these out as mine has, let me know what I can be doing to better care for this plant. It's a sad day when my plants don't make it, but I do realize that's part of the learning process. That's part of the learning curve. All right, and this is the last one I'm going to show you guys here. Look at this beautiful, beautiful aloe. This is in one of my videos from a couple of years ago where it was just 3 little baby aloe leaves on here. They were getting ready to discard this from Walmart, and I brought it home for less than $3, and I've pretty much just watered it and left her alone. All of my other succulents, with the exception of a jade plant, I have killed all of them. And at one point I had about 15 different succulents in my collection. This one and the jade over there in that window are the only 2 succulents that I've managed to keep alive. And I've done that by pretty much leaving them alone, watering them when the soil is completely dry, like bone dry, desert dry, and putting them directly into the source of light. These 2 plants, the jade and this aloe, are receiving bright light and seems to be doing well. So I'm very proud of myself that I did not kill this succulent, because as I mentioned, all of my other succulents have died on me. They've gone on to plant heaven. So with this one, I've learned just love it, but leave it alone, and it's doing beautifully. So I'm pretty sure that this one is going to need to be repotted soon, but I'm not going to repot it until we get settled into the new home and I can acclimate them to the new source of water, as they won't be getting well water anymore, and I don't want to repot and shop with the water at the same time. So eventually, probably towards the end of the growing season, I will repot this aloe plant. All right, beloved, so that's it for today's video. I showed you just a few of my most difficult but most beautiful plants. Go ahead and drop it in the comments. Let me know if you have some of these plants at home, how you're caring for them, and if you're a true plant parent, let me know how many plants you've killed, because we've all killed quite a few. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys for being here, and I will see you next Sunday in my next video. Have a wonderful week. Peace.